Welcome back to our podcast, The Best Is Yet to Come. I'm your host, Dr. Rich Macheski, and we're here talking with sponsors and students from both Athens and Troy High about some very important activities that take place during the course of our school year. Arguably, some of the most important activities as they support our larger school communities across the Troy School District. So I'm very pleased to have representatives from both Athens and Troy High with us today to talk about Charity Week and Activist Week. Let's start with Athens. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, I'm Sean Dufresne, and I'm an English teacher at Athens High School for the last 29 years, and I've been the student council co-advisor for the last 27 years. And with me today, I have Alexis, who's going to share a little bit more about her.
My name's Alexis, and I'm Vice President of Student Council. I've been a member for 4 years, and I'm also the president of She's the First.
My name is Melissa Nita. I teach at Troy High School. I currently teach special ed, and I am the teacher for our Links program. This is my 10th year teaching in the district and my 8th year as co-advisor for student government.
Hi, my name is Adam McManus. I'm the president of our Troy High Leadership and Student Government program. I also serve as the president of DECA and Spanish Club, as well as Business Professionals of America, and I serve as a representative for our center at the state level with Michigan Association of Student Councils.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And what our listeners are going to hear today is consistent with what you've heard from podcasts over the course of this school year. We have some amazing students in the Troy School District, and they're supported by amazing staff that allow them to do wonderful things across our school district. Alexis and Adam are examples of that here today, so we're going to hear a lot more about both Activist Week and Charity Week and what it means to the greater Troy community. So Adam, let's start with you. Talk to us a little bit about Activist Week for our listeners who may not be up to speed as to exactly what that is.
Sure. Activist Week is Troy High's take on a week full of fundraising events for a charity of our choice, usually a foundation, and we like to connect it to our community. And it really gets students in our age range and in high school settings involved in the community with fundraising and fun events so they can become part of something that's bigger than themselves.
Alexis, what about Charity Week? People in the district may be a little more familiar with Charity Week at Athens because it's gone on for decades now. Talk to us a little bit about Charity Week for those that may not be familiar.
Similarly to Activist Week, Charity Week is also a representation of a charity of our choice in which students are all participating in reaching out to the community, getting involved in activities to help support the community and help recognize the charity of our choice.
So let's talk about the charity of your choosing this year. Alexis, let's start with you at Athens with Charity Week. Who was the charity that you supported this year? And then additionally, who are the individuals that are involved with both choosing that charity and then ultimately running the activities that take place during Charity Week?
So the charity that we chose was called Next Steps for Seniors Foundation, and this charity was focused on helping close the financial gap for seniors who need help with housing and mental emotional support. And the people, I guess, involved were with selecting this was our student council, and also anybody else who is interested is invited to listen to their presentations and help choose a specific charity. What else was the question?
So Alexis, but when you think about the amount of students that are directly involved in both the planning and making sure that the activities go off as intended, about how many students would you say at Athens are involved in planning and helping to take part in these various activities?
Well, with the specific planning of the activities, maybe 50 or 60 students on our student council, but it reaches beyond that with our student body. Everyone gets involved in all of these activities.
That's great. Okay, Alexis, thank you. All right, Adam, let's hear from you with Activist Week. which charity were the students supporting this year at Troy High, and who's involved in the planning that goes into Activist Week?
Sure. So at Troy High this year, our students united to support Love for the Lichikakis Foundation. Love for the Lichikakis is in support of a local Troy family who's very involved in the Troy community and the Troy School District. And children of the Lichikaki family were involved with our student government and leadership program, so we decided to give back to them after they faced a hardship in early January. We wanted to make sure that we were there for them and showed that Troy is some place where we can all support each other in times of hardship and times of suffering. So we decided to band together to create that change. As for participation, we get student body participating. For the selection of the charity, our student council and leadership program, which is about 300 students, comes together and votes on is like part of the selection process for our charity.
Great. And I've been very fortunate, having been superintendent of the district for many, many years, to be directly involved in some of the activities that take place both at Activist Week and at Charity Week. And I know for a fact that none of this happens without support from staff, from faculty. And specifically, we have the two advisors here today. So let's, Ms. Anita, let's start with you. What role do you play as the sponsor for student government, for StuCo, and how do you get involved in helping to support students?
Well, I'm a co-advisor for student government at Troy High with Megan Riddock. We kind of oversee all of the events and the whole week. That being said, we try to put ownership into our exec board, which is Adam runs that as our president, and Megan Riddock also teaches 4 leadership classes. So her teaching those 4 leadership classes, all of those students really have a heavy hand in planning the week. And then we also have our class advisors. So those staff members oversee the events that the freshman class runs, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So kind of it's definitely teamwork to get all of those students and all of the staff involved. And Megan and I tried to do our best to oversee the whole week and oversee all of the events that run simultaneously in the craziness.
Well, and it is crazy during the course of these weeks, but it's a controlled craziness, and it's all for great causes. So, Sean, at Athens, you 27 years you've been directly involved in student council. So you've seen Charity Week evolve significantly over the last 27 years. What role do you play in helping to support the students at Athens?
Yeah, I also, with my co-advisor Deanna Fakori, we kind of give ownership to the students, and to our executive council officers end up exploring different activities that we want to do. They present it to our council. Some of the events are traditional, and we'll pass those along, but we're also looking for new activities that we might do. For instance, this was our second year where a parent approached us and wanted to hold a community quest / road rally, and so we had around 10 groups who participated on that. And so the StuCo is always looking for different ways to add another activity that could include the community and get students involved in other ways as well. So.
All right, so you mentioned a new activity this year was road rally. Alexis, what other activities were you involved, or were students at Athens and the community at Athens involved with this year during Charity Week?
I guess I'll start with my events because I know those best. We always kick off the Monday of Charity Week with a pancake breakfast. This is something that community members sign up to cook for, and we have parents throughout the whole school cooking pancakes, and students can buy their passports or tickets, and they get to participate in eating pancakes, or our student council helps, I guess, put that on. And then Mr. Athens, I think, is another event that really embodies our spirit, where we have guys through the school who are super passionate. They will, I guess, run for Mr. Athens, And through this, they spend their entire week selling things. They practice and rehearse routines. And on the Wednesday of our charity week, they kind of put on a performance and people can vote through money.
Great. Adam, what about at Troy High? Take us through some of the activities that you all have been involved with, and maybe some newer ones that maybe hadn't taken place in the past.
Yeah, so as an organization, we aim to have an event in school and out of school each day. Obviously, that doesn't happen each year, but we try to give families and people in our community a chance to participate in any possible way they can during their free time. We start off the week with Troy High's Got Talent and a movie night. And then on Monday, we had a brand new event, Stuck for a Buck, where we taped Mrs. Carrie Brennan, Mrs. Emily Rusk, and Mr. Justin Nelson to the wall during lunches. That was very, very fun.
For you, at least.
Yes,
Probably
yes,
not
for
them
me.
so much, but
And then we continued the week with Coin Stall, which was definitely our largest fundraiser with $32,000 in all of our coin stalls.
Wow.
We also conducted Coin Stall at the middle school, so we got involved with Smith and Bolin Park Middle School to make that $32,000 happen. And then we continue the week with Power Puff. We have Ticket to Skip It, and we have the pep assembly at the very end with snow coming on Saturday.
so a lot of real interesting activities that take place at both high schools during the course of these particular weeks. What I really enjoy about and admire with the both Activist Week and Charity Week is the fact that it is student run, and you as advisors turn and staff turn the week over to students, and I know there's a lot of pride that goes into students running the activities and bringing that all together in those culminating activities. And it's not about the money, and we'll talk a little bit about the money that are raised. It's not about the money that's raised that's important, although it's going to great charities. It's really about the opportunity for student leadership. And so, Adam, let's start with you. When we think about Activist Week, what are some of the more challenging aspects of Activist Week that you and your fellow students have to overcome in terms of bringing it all together?
That's a very good question. It's very exhausting, and sometimes it can get frustrating with so many things happening simultaneously. But I think the biggest thing for us is teamwork and collaboration. There's 5 of us on the executive board, 2 advisors, and then we have 120 students in class, and then we have our club, which is about another 100 students. So it's a lot of communication and building on that communication, whether it's through GroupMe or Schoology, and we want to make sure that everyone is informed on how they can participate throughout the week and participate with our program so that we can create the greatest impact in our community.
Yeah, I'm sure your advisors can appreciate the challenges associated with trying to bring that many students together around a common cause and the challenges that are associated with it. So, Alexis, what about you from your experience with Charity Week at Athens? What are some of the biggest challenges that you face working with your fellow students and so forth to bring that all together?
I think something we started facing in the more recent years is that as Charity Week has been around for so long, students begin to kind of lack participation. And this year we also, I guess a big thing we found was that like freshmen specifically don't really understand the culture of Charity Week if they don't aren't informed on what happens, how they can get involved. So this year we've implemented a lot of reaching out to freshmen specifically, because we do an assembly before winter break, and everyone's there, and it's such like a great, I guess, kickoff to what's to come. But freshmen get really like overwhelmed by the information, and then they kind of just put it aside. And then it's like come Charity Week, they don't know what they can do to get involved, and they miss deadlines. So I think for us, like being able to go to freshmen. I think this year we went to freshman bio classes. We spoke one-on-one with freshmen, explained to them how our passport works, and if they can't buy a passport, how else they can get involved. And I think it was things like that, and really connecting to our underclassmen is what I guess builds a culture for like the years to come.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I appreciate you sharing that, Alexis. And it happens over time, right? You become used to activities that occur and you expect them to just happen And from the outside looking in, if you haven't been involved, you really don't see about the hard work, the hours of planning that go into pulling these weeks together. It's tremendous. Again, I've had an opportunity to see it from the outside looking in. I know how much time and effort goes into it. So encouraging your classmates to continue to get involved, stay engaged, seems like it's a challenge, but you've certainly overcome that this year as we think about the outcome. So let's talk a little bit about the outcome of both Activist Week and Charity Week. As I mentioned before, it's not about the money. I mean, yeah, ultimately it is a charity. You're raising money to give to needy causes, but it is about everyone coming together around those specific causes. So when you think, let's start with you, Adam. When you're in the week itself, you're in Activist Week itself. Do you know, number one, do you have a goal set for how much money you want to raise during the course of that week? Do you establish a goal to shoot for, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we kind of look at it as we sort of add a little bit of competition to it. We always like to beat the year prior, but we also are just our goal is to engage the most people as possible. So we're trying to get all 2,000 students involved rather than the number that's on the big poster at the very end. We are sort of looking at the number of how many tickets we sell, just to make sure that like everybody is getting involved. And Miss Nita can touch on this because she is part of the process that kind of looks at, where are our objectives for this year, short-term and long-term? What are we looking to provide to the cause?
Yeah, kind of going off of that, the handful of charity or activist weeks that we've done, I've been in charge of keeping track of all the money, which is really difficult sometimes because of all the events that we have simultaneously going. However, it's really fun. The kids always want to know, like, what are we at? What are we at? I kind of give them hints throughout the week as I'm like totaling and keeping track of everything. At least to eBoard, but it's awesome at the pep assembly when everything comes together, and it is like the kids are so excited to see that number on the poster. So
yeah, that's exciting. We'll talk about the end numbers in just a few minutes here. But Alexis, let's talk about it for Charity Week. Do you set a goal at the beginning before Charity Week starts, or how does that all come together? And then Mr. Dufresne, how does that work specific to you?
Every single year since I've been at Athens, our goal is to break 100,000, and throughout the week, that is just kind of what we have in mind, I guess.
So are you keeping track during the week, Sean?
I am keeping track,
Okay.
and so periodically the students will say, how are we doing, and then other students, they just don't want to know until the end. But overall, yeah, it just the similar to what Adam said. We're not necessarily putting on posters. We want this amount. We want this amount. It's just this vibe that is established in terms of wanting to just see how much we can raise. Getting as many students as possible engaged in it, and ultimately, whatever that amount is, that the kids are happy because of the time and all the work they put into it.
And I don't know if we said this specifically, but for the listeners, how many years have we been doing Charity Week at Athens?
It started in the mid-1980s.
Okay. All right, so it's
So,
been
yeah,
quite
over 40 years.
Over 40 years.
Yes.
And then how about Activist Week? I know Activist Week is newer at Troy. How many years have we been doing Activist Week?
So I've been co-advisor for student government at Troy High for 8 years, and I believe it started a year or two before, so maybe about 10 years. We started with the Flint water crisis, like helping them and raise money for them. So yeah, I would say about 10 years.
Okay. All right. So it gives our audience a sense for Charity Week has been well established for over 40 years now, and Activist Week is getting itself very well established, almost a decade, or right about a decade now. So many students, both Adam and Alexis, many student leaders have come before you and have participated in this event, and you have had the ability to participate as underclassmen. As you think about your experience as an underclassman and now as someone who is in charge of leading these very important events, talk to our audience about what you've learned. Alexis, I'm going to start with you and put the pressure on you. What have you learned through this experience, both watching it from the outside and then now as someone who is responsible for directly leading these activities?
A lot of patience.
Yeah, I think patience and definitely listening and being able to hear what people need, what people want. It's not about us, and I think that's the biggest thing that you have to accept, is that it's not about you. It's about the charity. It's about the class body. It's about serving others. And as a freshman, I feel like you're stepping into something that has a lot of pressure and has a lot of I guess already like a pre-established like culture. And so you kind of have to rise to that occasion and say like, it's not about being able to say, I did this and I want to do this. It's about saying like, what is the end goal, I guess, and what is like, how can I, this is hard to answer, how can I represent the people that I'm like, because like as a president or as a vice president, it's about representing your class body and representing the student council body, but also representing like the community. And so it's about being able to listen to what the community members want to see, what the class wants to see, and how I guess people feel about certain things, and just being able to embody all of that.
Oh, exceptionally well said, Alexis. You did a nice job there. All right, Adam, she put some pressure on you. What about from your perspective? What, as an outsider looking in, as an underclassman, now as a senior who's leading these endeavors, what did you learn?
Yeah, so as a freshman, it was very overwhelming. We supported Oxford High School during my freshman year, and there was a lot going on. We raised a ton of money that year, and it was very exciting. And I sort of wanted to be like a large part of that. So I got into student government more after seeing that, and it really has shown that it comes from within. So our program does a lot of the promotion, and through our promotion and through our own spirit, we can inspire others to participate and inspire others to get engaged with the programs that we put on throughout the week. It's important that we're dressing up every day and going to every event so that the freshmen and the scared sophomores and freshmen that aren't used to Activist Week and its culture, like Alexis said, we can sort of inspire them to get involved. They look up to seniors and look up to upperclassmen. So seeing us participate and as upperclassmen, that will definitely create a ripple effect going into the younger ages and generations.
That's great. Well, I appreciate both of you sharing those experiences. Inspiring, being an inspiration to others, listening, I heard servant leadership. I mean, I heard that from both of you. So again, as I mentioned to our listeners at the beginning, you'll be extremely impressed with the students across our school district, because it's not just Alexis and Adam that emulate these attributes and characteristics. It's many students across our school district, and they're of course helped on a daily basis by our staff and our sponsors. So we appreciate the work that you all do on behalf of everyone within our learning community. So the audience, if our audience hasn't already heard, both Activist Week and Charity Week are now over. So the tallies have been done. They have been taken. So Adam, let's start with you. Talk to us about what the end total was for Activist Week, and let's tie all that together by talking about, again, how that is going to be used, how those resources will be used moving forward to support the charity.
Yeah, so our final total was just about $78,500, which is a school record for us. It's very exciting to see that number after that poster was taken down. And that will go to the Lichikaki Foundation, where they will use it to support the family in college education and extracurricular opportunities, as well as daily life. Losing a parent and losing half of income is very, very hard. And being able to support a family that is so close to our community is just very, very enlightening.
Great. Well, thank you, Adam, for sharing that. All right, Alexis. So for Charity Week, what was the end number, and how will those resources be used moving forward to help support seniors in our community?
Our end total was $100,500, and I guess funds from that will go to, like I said previously, supporting seniors who don't have the finances or are, in other words, forgotten about. There's a lot of families who they don't have a lot of children, and so when they're I guess they get into their older age, they don't have anybody to help support them, and because of this, like, they are living alone, they don't have help that they need, and this is just so it's such a prevalent problem. And I think this number really, I guess, not only impacted like raising or like involving people, but raising awareness. In our Charity Week, we also had, because of our Charity Week, we've had many seniors contacting the foundation. They shared that with us at the PEP assembly. And because of this, we are going, like, not only is more people going to be helped, or more people are going to be helped because more people are going to realize that this foundation is there to help them.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you, Alexis, for sharing that. So we're going to give all four of our participants an opportunity to share one last time. And I guess what I'd like to hear from our students is what advice would you give your those leaders that will be coming behind you, who will be taking over both Activist Week and Charity Week moving forward, and then from our advisors as you look forward, what are those things that you're looking forward to as it relates to both Activist Week and Charity Week moving into the future? So, Adam, let's start with you.
Yeah, it's sad to see my time at Troy High end and my time with student government and leadership come to a close, but I'm glad we left it on a positive note with this year's Activist Week. I guess my advice to the younger grades would just be, don't take it for granted. A lot of times people don't see how much work is put into the week from all different sides, whether that's administrators or staff, dropping everything during coin stall or getting taped to the wall. There's a lot that happens from the staff and administration throughout the week, as well as the students. So recognizing that is really important so that we can appreciate the time and effort that goes to supporting a cause that is in the community and making sure that student leadership and student engagement is involved. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Melissa, what about you? What are you going to tell your students as when they look towards next year, towards Activist Week next year?
I just think that Activist Week is the best week at Troy High School. Overall, I think all students at Troy High School would probably agree with me. So for next year, I just want my student government students to try their best and just use it as a learning experience. I think they gain so many skills, building character, finding their personality, working together, leadership skills. And then overall, the whole school body can learn from it and just know that they can be a part of something bigger than just Troy High School.
Great, thank you. All right, Alexis, at Athens, you want to
do him first.
We want to go with Mr. Dufresne first. All right,
sure.
Mr. Dufresne, why don't you go first?
So, yeah, I'm just I'm always excited for the next year's group because they see what they're a part of, and then they're already, within a couple of weeks after after Charity Week, they're already hearing rumblings about plans, or next year we might try this, and so it's always nice to see, and just the fact how we're structured. I'm sure the Troy High is structured a similar way, where with our leadership positions in committees and events, many of the underclassmen also take a lead role. So it's nice because they have experience for the upcoming year, and they've established some self-confidence, and they're willing and just fired up to take over those main roles. Again, I know this kind of echo some of the sentiments just at the PEP assembly at the reveal. It's just so heartwarming to have the whole student body get so fired up and excited, and just whether they contributed just a few cents to the coin stalls, or if they're a part of contributing a lot to Mr. Athens campaign, it's nice that nearly every single student has contributed in some way, and I'm always hearing alumni come back and they're sharing when they're at college about what they were a part of, and all their friends that they're meeting for the first time are shocked or think they're making it up, and like, no, I raised this amount of money and made this impact. And so of course we couldn't do it without the support of the district and our administration and staff, so flexible during this time. But definitely Charity Week is just what defines Athens, and it's just a great place to support, great place to be.
Well, thanks, Sean, for sharing that. We would be remiss if we didn't, to your point, thank administration at both Troy High and Athens, our custodians at both Troy High and Athens that go over and above during that week to spend. They work extra hours because activities go well into the evening and so forth, or early in the morning. And so we thank our custodians and all our support staff as well, who help to support
Absolutely.
that week. Yeah. So Alexis, we're going to give you the last word. What are you telling those coming after you as they look to take over the reins for Athens Charity Week next year?
That it's important to note that it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a time to remember. There's nothing like Charity Week. Nothing in my life will ever amount to what Charity Week is. And so being present, being there, and just being there with your friends and being there with one another. It's so important to realize that it's not that serious. One mistake isn't going to cost us anything. It's just there to learn and to have fun and to do something good for others.
Great. Well, Alexis and Adam, I want to thank you for being here, for representing your school so well. Mr. Dufresne, Mr. Nita, I want to thank you for being here, for the work that you do to support the students at both Troy High and Athens. Thank you so much for the work that you do. And I want to thank our audience for tuning in and learning a little bit more about Activist Week and Charity Week at both Troy High and Athens, and for being a part of the Best Is Yet to Come podcast.